welcome to another episode of Dad Can We Talk. Today is episode 82. And man, I am on my quest to episode 100. Hopefully, I can get there by the end of this year or maybe early next year. But I just, for all of my listeners out there, man, I've been so busy this year. This year has been it's been pretty difficult. Just got a lot of stuff going on. I did start my other podcast, Men Can We Talk? So trying to balance my time, balance family, the kids, all of them are in the same school for the first time ever. And this summer has been crazy. So going through that and getting them prepared, I've just had a lot of stuff going on. So if you haven't been seeing the episodes come as quickly as they used to come, my apologies. But I am a busy dad and a busy husband. It is ridiculous. But I'm still here. Dad, Can We Talk is not stopping. I have no stopping nowhere in sight. So now that school is started and everything, I got about 5 episodes that I already have planned out right now that'll be coming in the next month or two. And you guys just continue to stay tuned. Like the Facebook page, go and subscribe on YouTube and continue to keep us going, man. You know, every time someone writes me and tells me that, you know, they're encouraged by something that they heard, it gives me even more juice to continue pushing forward, man. So I thank all of my supporters out there, everyone that has continued to buy the shirts from me. Appreciate you. It has been awesome, man, you know, to be able to have people support the podcast the way that you guys have. So just want to send a shout out to all my supporters out there, man. Continue to do what you do. But in this episode today, man, I am with a guy. He reached out to me by email. And as I looked at his info, I was like, yeah, let's get him on here, man. I need some of that. I always say, Dad, Can We Talk is for everyone else, but it's more about me. I'm still learning as a dad. So anytime I have the opportunity to talk with a dad that might have a little more experience than me and in certain areas, I need that because I am trying to learn. So I'm here with a guy named Jake Loveland, and I want him to introduce himself to the Dad Can We Talk community. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. Thanks so much, Anthony. I'm excited to be out here. It's a good time. So
Yes,
this
sir.
is one of my favorite topics out there. So happy to talk about it.
Yes, sir. And where are you in Utah?
Yep. Yeah, I'm in Utah, about 45 minutes south of Salt Lake,
Okay.
in a little town called Springville is where I live. And yeah, I guess let me introduce myself a little bit.
Yeah.
I am a husband and a father. We have 5 kids.
Wow.
So we got a 4-year-old and a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old and a
Woo.
1-year-old
Oh.
and a 2-month-old.
Oh. Yeah.
So we got them packed in tight, real tight.
Wow.
Uh, yeah. So life is crazy. I
Yeah.
can definitely relate to that sentiment. It is a lot going on.
Wow.
I've been professionally, I've been coaching. I do business coaching for a lot of business owners specifically, but typically what my goal is out there is business leaders, excuse me, is business leaders in general, and helping them find that wild professional success without sacrificing faith and family, without losing the things that are really important to them and that make them who they are.
Wow. That's good.
Excuse me. So yeah, I do that through a couple things. Like I said, I do one-on-one coaching. I work with a lot of people that way. I've got a group coaching that I do. And then I also have a podcast myself called Tenaciously Human, which is helping people get the most out of the human experience. And parenting and all that is got a special place in my heart for sure, for a lot of reasons. And I mean, really what started this all for me was seeing a lot of really successful people in the business world that I looked up to who were, they get to the point where they're so wealthy they can buy their kid a house, but they can't take their kid to dinner,
Wow.
right? They got the money to do whatever they want, but their kids want nothing to do with them. Or they're just absent. They're not there as a father or as a mother, and that it just hurt my soul to kind of realize that, kind of
Mm.
see behind the curtain a little bit. And then I started questioning, does it have to be that way? Does it have to be that professional success has to push out your family? And
Mm.
I don't think that's the case. And so I set out on a journey to prove that and to show a lot of social examples and stuff of people who are trying to find great success in the professional realm while finding similar success at home and in their faith, in their communities, all those other things. So
Wow, man, I love that, man. That is one of those things that's so important. And I've talked with a lot of people. I just being a having a dad podcast. I talk to dads all the time, man, and
good.
meeting guys in the community and stuff, and just observing people. I work at a warehouse, so just talking with people throughout the warehouse all the time, and you know, having conversations. That's something that comes up a lot of times. I remember one of my old managers. We were having a conversation in the office, and he was trying to talk me into management. And at the time, I really wasn't I really don't want to do that. And, and in his pitch to me was, I make a lot of money. I'm not home like that, but who cares? I'm bringing all the money home. And when I come home from work and my son wants to throw the football, I tell my son I don't have time for that, because I'm out making money. And when he said that, I'm like, bro, you're not doing a good job at making me want to, like, that's not a good thing. And he was saying it like it was just this badge of honor. And I'm like, yeah, man, that doesn't sound too good to me, man. I think I'll pass on that. I want to be able to throw the football with my son if he wants that. And that's something that I think a lot of people do struggle with, being able to keep everything in order, family and faith and all of those types of things that are just so much more important than making money, because making money is important, but you can't lose yourself in that.
Absolutely.
That's a good thing. But let's go here really quick. We're gonna get back to that. I want to go here. The way I usually start the podcast, I have a question that I always ask in the beginning, and I want to take it back for a quick second. I want to know, what was your relationship like with your dad growing up?
My relationship with my father is, I mean, right now he's one of, if not my best friend on earth.
Yeah.
We are really close. And growing up as a kid, there was uh, just like any kid, I think you kind of go through that phase where your parents aren't cool anymore, and
Mm.
you push back and you fight and stuff like that. Um, I never felt a lot of, I guess I had a good relationship with my dad growing up, and it's just gotten a lot stronger since I left home. But it started really good. Started on a good foundation. He worked a lot. Excuse me. He worked a lot. He was probably, I mean, he's one of the hardest working guys I know. Maybe to a fault, at some point. But if nothing else, I learned a lot from his work ethic. I mean, he never took a sick day, ever. I
Yeah.
think the first time he took a sick day was when he got COVID or something like that. Like a year
Wow.
ago, he took a sick day or something like that. Took a half day, I think, and then he started just working from home. But just super hardworking guy. I remember at one point growing up, he had 3 different jobs, and he's just working like crazy, just super busy. But when he was home, I felt like he was home. He
Mm.
did a really good job of letting us know that he cared. I remember, those experiences of, playing catch with him out in the yard, or, you know, doing things like that with him. So yeah, I've got a great example of a father.
That's good. And how would you say that relationship has spilled over into your fatherhood experience with your own children?
Yeah. I mean, a lot. My dad was always a really good listener.
Mm,
And I think that's one of the skills that I really try to emulate, even with my kids being really young. You know, my oldest is 4.
mm.
So, I mean, we're not having deep philosophical conversations at this age,
Yeah.
but I really try to listen and to let my kids know that they're important, that their opinions matter, that their feelings matter, that everything they're going through is tough. You know, I it's hard to learn how to communicate, hard to learn how to grow up with siblings, and what they're going through is hard. And
Mhm,
so just validating them and listening to them even at this young age, I think is really important. So that's something that I try to emulate from my father,
mhm.
and and something that I feel like he does really well and has done really well for my life.
That's good. That's good, man. And that's I think for you, I know I had my last two, they're 6 and 5 right now. So
Uh-huh.
yeah, they're about maybe 11 months apart. And that was a challenge for us, man. Just having my son, my son is 6, my youngest daughter is 5. And I felt like for my son, he was, he like when my daughter came, it almost felt like he was like, hey, bro, I'm still the baby, so it
Uh-huh.
was just hard trying to give him that time and give my little baby all of this attention. And now you see this strong sibling rivalry between those two.
Sure.
Growing up, they've just been just at it all the time. My oldest is 9, so she's about 3 years, 3 and 4 years ahead of them. So she really didn't have that issue. But those
Mhm.
last two it's been pretty rough with those two. So how is that something that you've dealt with having them back to back like that?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. All the time. It's been really interesting. The transition that has been the hardest for us was bringing home our 5th kid,
Wow.
which, like I'm thinking about it mathematically, and it's like the smallest increase, right? Going from 4 to 5 mathematically is a smaller increase than going from 3 to 4 or 2 to 3, but it has been the hardest for me, and probably for the rest of the family, definitely for my wife. And the reason I think it is that way is because they all want to know that they have a place, right? We brought home this new baby, and that baby takes a lot of attention. And then all the other kids are like, well, what about me? Don't forget about me. And they're going to do whatever it is that they can, in the best way that they know how. They're trying to show, hey, dad, I'm here,
Yeah.
give me that attention. Let me know that I'm loved. And and that creates a lot of rivalries.
Mm.
There's a lot of fights for our attention, meaning, they're like sitting at your feet saying, I want to sit on his lap. I want to sit on his lap. And they're kind of yelling at each other. But then there's a lot of fights that are in order to get attention,
Mm.
right? Where they're in the other room, but they're fighting and they know that if they scream, if one of them gets hurt, mom
Yes.
or dad's going to
Oh,
come into the room. And that's super normal. And again, it's understandable. They're doing the best that they know how to get that love.
mm.
And we do the best that we can to show them that love and to help them feel that they are important, each and every one of them, for us. Because yeah, I mean, it's chaos, and there are a lot of them. I mean, 5 is, at least for us, feels like a lot, but
Ooh.
each of them is so important to us individually,
Yeah.
and we want them to know that. So there's that, definitely a big aspect of it. And then you got just your normal run of the mill sibling rivalry, right?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it comes from the same thing, where they're trying to find their place in the world.
Mhm.
And so, whatever gives them attention from others, whatever gives them, makes them feel important. And that happens all the time. My oldest two, so I have 3 boys, a girl, and my 5th is another boy.
Mm.
But the 2 oldest boys have been good friends their whole life.
Yeah.
And then when the third comes along, he feels like he wants to be part of that, but they've kind of got this relationship built. And
Yeah.
so his way of getting into that group is annoying them. And he's good. He is fantastic at this. Uh they love puzzles, and he'll just go and take one puzzle piece. He won't take the whole puzzle. He'll just take one puzzle piece because he knows how crazy they'll go when they get to the end of the puzzle and realize they're missing one piece. So yeah, there's a lot of that, and you do your best to approach them and let them know that they're loved while you're correcting their behavior.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, man, I saw a quote the other day because, like, when I'm dealing with that, a lot of times I'm just like, oh my God, you guys are gonna drive me crazy. Come on, man, just give me a break. Give me 5 minutes. Give me 2 minutes, man, please.
Uh-huh.
And the quote said, "Your kids aren't giving you a hard time; they're having a hard time." And it hit me just in that moment when I saw that. And I'm like, man, that just really hits me exactly where I need to be hit. Because at times I do feel like that. I feel like, why are you guys giving me this hard time, man? Can you please just calm down? Just take it down a notch. And I'm thinking that they're just doing this to annoy me. But
Right.
no, it's, they're, like you say, they're having, it's a difficult thing. They're trying to find their place. They're growing just like we're growing,
Oh
and
yeah.
they have these siblings, and they want to know that they're loved. And it's a really hard thing. And I have to remind myself of that sometimes, like, man, it isn't even that serious. And when I do take the time to actually console them and sit and talk with them and just let them know, hey, it's all right. And we're here, we're good, we're all right. And they calm down just like that, because for them, they just want to know that, I'm heard. You see me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what they're looking for, right? They want to feel heard. And I've been making an effort to do that lately, especially with the older kids, to let them know that they're heard. And I'll even say that, you know,
Mhm.
my oldest, his name is Sven. And I'm like, hey Sven, I hear you. You're saying right now that you want to go play outside. And I love playing outside too. That sounds like it would be really fun. And right now we're making dinner. We don't have time for that. We're gonna have to wait.
Yeah.
Right. And just telling them, like, I hear what you're saying. I understand your concern, and validating that, I think, is really important for all of us as human beings. I think validation is one of the greatest skills on earth. And if we can master validating people emotionally, if truly everyone in the world could do that, there would be no wars. I think, there'd be no gangs, there'd be no wars, there'd be, you know, very little arguments, really.
Hmm.
But, we're humans, so we're not going to do that perfectly every time.
Exactly.
But I do my best to validate them because, like you said, I'm not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. And it's hard for me. It's a hard adjustment for me to
Hmm.
have another kid in the house, or whatever, changes we're going through. And if it's hard for me, an adult who's got 30 plus years of experience and all the skill sets that I've learned on coping and dealing with stuff like that, how much harder is it going to be for a 3-year old who, barely puts a sentence together? How's he going to cope with it? Right. So just understanding where they're coming from, I think, is important.
Wow. Now that's a good one. That's a good one, man. So with having 5 children, so that's 5 different personalities that you have to deal with on a daily,
Oh yeah.
along with dealing with your wife, and along with dealing with clients and other people that you work with, and just dealing with yourself, thoughts in your own head and all of these things, dealing with everything that life throws at you. How do you balance all of this, man?
Yeah. That's the question, man. That's the golden question.
Yeah.
And I have almost 100 episodes myself on my podcast discussing that very topic of,
Wow.
how do you balance this? Is this even possible? And there's a lot that we could go into there, but the short answer is I try, and there's a couple of steps I walk through with all my clients.
Mm-hmm.
And I walk through it with myself first. And the first thing I tell them all, and the first thing I work through is understanding where my worth comes from as an individual. So I'm a Christian. I believe in God.
Mm-hmm.
Buddhists have a similar belief as well. They believe in the Buddha nature. Uh, other people believe in the universe. Whatever it is to you, you need to understand where your worth comes from, and your worth has nothing to do with your career
Mm-hmm.
or even your skill as a parent or the fact that you are or are not a parent. Your value, your worth isn't inchangeable. It cannot be changed. And when I understand that, then it makes balancing way easier because then I can approach a situation and I'm not going to work. I'm not going to work longer hours because I know that I feel good about myself when people, compliment my accomplishments or they, we get a lot of validation from work. It's a lot easier. It's a lot more tangible. So people, hey, you hit that sales quota. Your production quota is, top. You're doing great, right? You get all these kind of compliments and this validation from that. But if I can understand that my worth doesn't come from there, and I can understand that my worth doesn't come from parenting, then when I look at the situation, it's an even terrain. I'm not trying to decide where I spend my time that week based on where I can get more value, feel good, feel better about myself. But I'm looking at the scenario, even playing field, deciding, okay, which one of these situations needs my time or which one needs a little bit more time. And balance, the word balance can be a little misleading because I think some people think of it as a place, right? As an event. I've achieved balance, but it's an ongoing verb. You're constantly balancing. And that means sometimes you're leaning more one way and then you got to overcorrect and lean the other way. And it's an act, right? It's a juggling act, right? So the first thing is understanding where your worth comes from. I think that's huge. And then the second thing is defining success for yourself. So you got to understand what it is that you're looking for in life and how does that look for you? If you base your definition of success off of someone you follow on Instagram, you are going to be sad your whole life, or at least sorely disappointed at many points because that person is going to change, right? They may be popular now, they're not going to be popular in 2 years, and all of a sudden your definition of success is going to change. And if you are just following that, you're going to be blown around all over the place, inconsistent. And even if you achieve that Instagram level of success, it's not going to be satisfying to you because it's not important to you, right? Going back to what you said about your boss, where your boss was like, hey, you're going to be so important, you don't even have time to spend time with your kids. And if that's a level of success for you, great. I doesn't sound very happy to me, but if that's what you're looking for, right, that's what you chase after. But you recognizing, no, I want to spend time. My definition of success includes time with my kids every day. Then you can build a whole different life around that, right? So those are the first two steps I take through all my clients, and then we start working down different things. The next one that I work on with most of my clients is emotions. And that, I think, when people ask me, how do you balance it? That's typically the first thing that comes to my mind, but the other two are important precursors to that. So emotions is really, how we're feeling, right? And it guides our day. And typically when we struggle with work-life balance, it's not only the time, but it's the where we are mentally, right? You may be home, but you're thinking about work. Or you may be at work, but you're thinking about home. And finding a way to balance that is really important, and understanding how to process the different emotions. I think one of the biggest things we do as individuals is, we'll be at work and our boss will come down on us hard, get upset with us, yell at us. It has nothing, wasn't even our fault. We're all defensive and angry. And then the wife calls, you pick up and you're upset with your wife, and it's not her fault at all.
Man.
Right? You carry that emotion, that emotional baggage from one situation to the next. So you got to learn how to process it. You got to learn how to release those emotions so that you're not using your family or your coworkers as emotional punching bags to let off some steam.
Wow, man, you are preaching to me. Seriously, man. And because that's something that I've dealt with, I would say maybe the last 2 years. Just having all of these things just build up. And I've been going through a lot in my marriage the last 2 years, and I've just been really doing a lot of repairing, just especially in the last month, just really repairing after it came to my attention and I started to see that, wow, I've been pretty trash as a husband, if I'm
Sure.
honest with myself in the last year and a half. And a lot of it stems from stuff like that, just getting into a place to where I'm so upset about, I would be upset at home and then I go to work. And then, like you said, I'm at work thinking about things that's at home. And now that's affecting work. And then I might get upset at work and then I'm bringing it home. And I'm just transferring it all over the place. I'm upset
Sure.
with something that someone said at work. And now I come home to my kids and now I'm short tempered with my kids. And
Yep.
now the kids are upset. And then my wife comes home and now all of that is affecting her now. She might have dealt with something at work and now she's coming home to me who's upset and the kids are upset. And it's been like that for like a year and a half, man, until maybe about, a few months ago. I'm like, man, I have, it all starts back to me. It all comes back to
Yeah.
me. I am the issue. I am the problem, and it's just a lot of things that I had to deal with within myself. I was looking at my wife and saying, my wife isn't doing this and she's not doing whatever. The kids aren't here, but it all comes back to me. I have been the issue because I've carried so many things around that I shouldn't have been carrying around, anger in this area and all of these things. And I'm like, okay, pause. Let's get back, and it goes back to the faith, and I've had to really reposition myself before God and really tell and be honest with myself and say, I've gotten away, I've lost my way a little bit. Let me backtrack and see where did all of this start. And that's just where I've been the last, like I say, month and a half, man. And things are getting much better. I'm thinking clear now, my relationship with my wife is getting better. Um, everything is starting to get back better, and there's a lot of damage that's been done. And so, like repairing that relationship with my wife, she's kind of like, I need time, to process all of this because I do see you changing a lot, but I need to be sure that it's real.
Yeah.
So I'm just in that place, and a lot of that stuff that you just talked about, it was a lot of that for me. And I just think it's a very important thing, and I wanted to ask you about that. How has it been for you and your marriage? And I know that having kids could be a lot, especially when they're that little like that,
Yeah.
because those first 5 years are like their most important years. And you have to put a lot of time into that. How have you been able to um, keep everything above water,
Yeah.
like with your wife? How have you been able to continue to keep that fire going? And well, I want to just start here. How long have
Yeah.
you guys been married?
Yeah. So we've been married 6 years.
Okay.
Um, and yeah, we've got the 5 kids. And it is, I mean, it's a lot. It's so much, right? It's a lot that we juggle. On top of that, we got commitments to our community, commitments to our church. We've got, family, extended family we're trying to work with and help and bless their lives as well. And there's a lot of things that we got going on. But if we don't put our relationship first,
Yeah.
the whole rest of the world kind of crumbles.
Mhm.
Right. So for me and my wife, uh, we set aside an hour every week where we specifically are working on our relationship together, at
Yeah.
least an hour, right? So we've got a dedicated hour, and for us right now, that looks like we do counseling. We do couples counseling. We've done it for 2 years now. I we started it because we were fighting a lot. We don't fight as much, nearly as much anymore. But for us, I don't know that we'll stop anytime soon,
Yeah.
especially with the chaos going on in our house. We need that hour every week where we're working on our relationship. And
Mm,
now it's much less repair and much more proactive, right? How can we get better? How can we get stronger? How can we improve this aspect or that aspect? It, man, I am a huge fan of counseling. But
yeah.
whether it's counseling or something else, you need time to work on your relationship.
Mm,
And, we do a date night as well. That's another great opportunity for conversations like that. I know couples that will choose like a couple, like a relationship book of some sort, and they'll read it together,
mm,
for an hour or so every week. And, just finding some way to strengthen your relationship and spend time together, because if that relationship isn't solid, the rest of it can be very difficult.
yes,
Not
sir.
to say it's impossible, right? Because we all go through rough patches,
Yeah.
and there are, you can make it through that. And most of that, I believe, is God helping us through that.
Yeah.
But that relationship with your spouse is paramount. So for me and my wife, we both make that a priority. And then the second thing we do is make each other's personal space a priority.
Mm,
Like yesterday, I was feeling it. I was getting really stressed with my kids. We had a road trip we were on. We finished it last night, and so I was just driving for a long time, exhausting weekend. Kids didn't sleep. My wife didn't sleep.
yeah.
It was a fun trip, but it was very very tiring.
Mm,
And at the end of the day, yesterday, I was exhausted. I was feeling that burnout. And my wife said, "Hey, why don't you go? Why don't you go run this errand by yourself?" Right. And her insight, her ability to see that I was needing space by myself to recharge was really powerful, because then I could go get in the car,
mm,
blast some music or sit in
yeah.
silence or whatever I want to do at the
Yeah.
moment, go run this errand, and then I come back and I'm a whole nother person. So
Mm,
that'd be the second thing I think that we've done that has helped us a lot, is just making sure that we each have time for ourselves,
mm,
aside from the chaos of the world. And
mm,
by the world, I mean our world, which is our house. And that is just total. I can't say this enough. It is insanity,
yeah.
the what we go through, but we love them. And if we have our relationship strengthened and we have time for ourselves, we can make it through. We can do
That's
it.
good. That's good, man. That's some good stuff. And that's one of the things that we have worked on, because she mentioned that to me that at times she does need that time away from us, you know,
Yeah.
and, because we can be stressful, especially with the kids' demands, and yeah, that's something that we're definitely working on. So for anyone out there listening, man, if you're married, he's on 6 years. I just hit 10 years in May. And
Beautiful.
yeah, so it's been, and doing some research, they always say, 10 years is like that year where most people were like, all right, it's over. We've
Yeah,
done good.
it's
We're,
true.
we're done. So yeah, we're in one of those super difficult years. But I believe that with God, man, we're gonna make this thing work. But so for anyone out there listening, if you're married, if you're thinking about marriage, you just got married or whatever, continue to make time for your spouse.
Yeah.
Please do that, man. You don't want to be like me, um, getting to that 10th year. I just went through the Love There. Are you familiar with that?
With what? Sorry.
It's called The Love There.
Oh, I'm not.
So there's a movie called Fireproof.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I
And
know that movie.
that movie, the book, the book that he did that his
Uh
dad
huh.
gave him in the movie. It was called The Love There. So
Okay.
it's basically like a 40-day challenge. So I just finished that last Monday. Last Monday was my 40th day. And it helped me so much, man. Just I can't
I
even
love that.
begin to even speak on that, like how much it's helped me personally, but it's also helped my marriage, man. So for anyone out there listening, if you're please do yourself a favor. Don't wait until you get to where I am to
Uh
start it,
huh.
because I'm like I say, I'm doing a lot of repairing now. I
Yep.
wish I would have done this before it got to this point. But if you can go and look up the book, it's called The Love There. I got the audio book and it's like 6 minutes a chapter. I would listen to it on my way to work every day. And
That's
it
cool.
gives you a lot of stuff that you could do daily. But yeah, man, I could go all day on marriage and stuff like that. But we're gonna move on. I want to talk about this. So a lot of people we talk about the mom side of postpartum, depression and stuff a lot of times.
Yeah.
And I think the dad is overlooked in that conversation a lot of times because women
Sure.
do go through a lot, after having kids and stuff, identity wise and all of these things. And I can only imagine what your wife is going through because my wife really went through it like a lot. It was crazy for her to have those two kids back to back. And, that's something that she's trying to come out of now. She's really trying to find herself again because she feels like for years that's all she's really done is just like she's just been mom and she's been wife and not really knowing who she is. Like she doesn't understand, the things that she likes. She's lost her hobbies and all of these things. But on that side, on the other side is the dad that a lot of times we get caught up in being a provider, being dad, being a husband, and always having to look after everyone else. And at times I think we neglect ourselves. Um, is that something that you've ever dealt with? With just having the kids and always having to be on your toes. Can you speak on that? How you've been able to keep up with yourself and just trying not to lose yourself in all of this.
Yeah. Yeah. And obviously, you're absolutely right in that it is incredibly difficult for women, right? I mean, they go through so much physically, emotionally, culturally. There's all these expectations. There's so much that I can only really begin to understand. I'll never fully understand that, and I don't want to discredit anything they're going through because it is a lot. And for my limited window in it, I have deep admiration for, uh, well, for all women, and definitely for mothers as well. And in addition to that, you're absolutely right. It is also hard on dads, and it's in a totally different way, and it's different emotions. But you bring another, you bring a child into the life, and it affects everything. And it is hard on dads. At least it's hard on me.
Mm,
Um, bringing the most recently bringing the fifth home, and it's hard because my wife, who is everything to me, she is just so wonderful, and I love spending time with her. I don't get to spend very much time with her anymore, and that's really hard on me.
yeah.
Uh, in addition to that, I have to, increase my work, my family time, to compensate for the things that she is not able to do because now she's taking care of the newborn, and so
Yeah.
now I need to step up and that's the way relationships are, right? We have to give and take. We have to step up, and when her focus on the kids increase or on the baby increases, the other kids, their need for attention is going to increase as well because they're like, oh shoot, something's changing. Let me put down my stakes. Let me prove that I'm worth keeping. Don't get rid of me here.
Yeah.
And so they increase a lot, and so then I have to step up to fill the gap, and that's hard. It is uh, exhausting, and it's been really hard for me. There's a couple times where I'm standing in the kitchen and there are four kids all crying at the same time, all screaming my name, all wanting something, and I just don't know what to do. I just feel so overwhelmed by it.
Mm,
And emotionally, it's hard. It is a whole new experience. And again, I can't. I don't think I need to compare to what my wife's going through. It's very different, but for me, it has been hard as well.
yeah.
And there are days where I'm like, I just don't know I just don't know. I don't know if I can keep doing this.
Yeah.
And yeah, this has been, yeah, I mean, I'll be transparent with you. This has been the hardest transition of my life.
Mm.
At least it feels that way. I mean, maybe there have been other challenging times, but this feels like the heaviest, probably because I'm going through it right now. But
Yeah.
just, five kids and that transition, man, it has been really tough. So now that I've said that it's really tough about a million times, you answer your question, how do I get through it? There is, um, well, first off, is you just do your best,
Yeah.
right?
Straight up.
Need to understand that good is, done is better than perfect. And that's important. So, a lot of things that I used to do a lot better, I'm getting done, but they're not as great.
Mm.
My time with my wife is very short sometimes, right? I mean, I was getting out of bed this morning and she's like, "Well, come back to bed and like let's just cuddle for a minute."
Yeah.
And we got maybe 2 minutes of cuddling there, and which was fantastic. And then the kids all come in screaming and it's over. But that little moment was really important to me and really important to her as well. And so you just do your best and you try and find um, little moments of peace
Mm.
as the couple. As I mentioned before, making sure you have time, each of you have time to process what you're going through.
Mm.
And that could mean a whole lot of different things. The way I process is through, we use counseling. Um, I do a lot of meditation or mindfulness. I do a lot of emotional validation for myself. Just that's a whole rabbit hole I could go down, but that's super fascinating to me is learning how to process emotions for myself. And then, and for me, it all comes back to God. I have to involve God in this because there is no way on
Oh,
earth that I could do this without Him.
seriously.
So to me, it's finding time to connect with Him. And again, it doesn't look as good as it used to be, right? It used to be where I could sit down and I could easily dedicate a half hour or an hour,
Mm.
if I wanted to to working on on building that relationship with God. But now it's like, man, if I can get 5 minutes in today, that is great. That is a win, you
Yeah.
know. So yeah, that's what it comes down to for me is just finding ways to involve God, strengthen that relationship with Him, strengthen that relationship with my wife, and strengthen the relationship with myself. And then the rest just kind of falls into place, even if it doesn't look so pretty as it's fallen.
Yeah. And my encouragement to you, man, is that you're still standing. You're still here. And that's always th- as long as you wake up every morning, your eyes open and you have breath in your body, you have another chance, you have another opportunity. And we just got to keep pushing forward, man, because it does get rough. I only have 3 kids, and with the 3 that I have, man, when I tell you it's an everyday thing,
Yeah.
and I'm really hard on myself at times, just I'm like really, really hard on myself, and I'm trying to get better at that. My wife is always telling me, I think you take yourself too serious at times, like you're just all you can do is just continue to try to get better. You might not be perfect, just keep going. And every day that I open my eyes and I have breath in my body, I have another chance to be a better father, to be a better husband, and continue to work on those things, and continue to be a better servant to people and just be better just all around. And like you say, it might not look like it looked 10 years ago for me when I didn't have any kids and I
Right.
was just getting married, like I was in a totally different place in my life, and I've changed a lot. My thought processes have changed, my body has changed, everything has changed. Nothing is the same from 10 years ago for me. So I can't judge myself on what I looked like 10 years ago compared to now. And I've grown a lot and going through all of these challenges and all of these things that we go through. The thing that keeps me going is knowing that sometimes we're not going through things for us. We're going through things for someone else.
Mm.
because now I run into younger guys, younger fathers who are coming up under me, younger husbands who are, they need to know that someone else has been through it. So now the things that I'm going through or I've been through, I can now give guidance because I can say, hey, you know what, man, I've been through that. I'm going through that right now, and I'm making it through, I'm coming out of that. And now I can encourage the next person, coming behind me and give them, that confidence that, hey, man, this guy is still standing. This guy is still going, even though he's been through some of the things that I'm going through right now that's about to make me give up. I have to keep going because I know that there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that always keeps me going, and God gives me those encouragements. He'll allow me to run into someone at work or something. Like a couple of weeks ago, I ran into a young guy who's in a relationship. He's not married or anything. He asked my opinion about something he was going through with his girlfriend. And the clarity that I was able to bring to him, and he was convicted. He was like, man, that's not the answer that I wanted. It's like, you're not on my side, but everything you're saying is right. I'm like, I'm just telling you from experience, bro. I'm telling you, I got 10 years of experience, 13
Yeah.
altogether. I've been with my wife. And I'm like, man, I'm just telling you what I know. This is things that I've been through. And he was like, man, you're right. Man, I talked with one of my friends earlier and he was on my side. And it's like, that was bad advice he was giving me. I'm like, yeah, I mean, you got to be careful, man. I'm just, sometimes it's good to know people that have a little more experience than you because they can tell you you don't have to learn from your own mistakes, learn from the mistakes of others.
Yeah.
Um,
That's super important. And it's really important that we don't compare,
yeah,
right? A lot of people, when I tell my story and talk about, how hard it is to have 5 kids under 5, people are like, well, I don't have any room to complain because I only got one kid.
yeah,
And yeah, you may only have one kid or you may not have any kids, but that doesn't mean that the struggles you're going through are not valid. In fact,
yeah,
they are. And it's so important to
mm,
go through and validate them for you,
yeah,
for yourself. Right. So one thing I work on with my clients, and I really struggle to work on, I really try to prioritize working on with myself as well, is going through when I feel some sort of emotion. There's 2 steps to it for me that I focus on. First one is name it to tame it. Right. That's a fairly common expression in the mental health space, but you got to name the emotion you're feeling.
mm,
Right. I'm feeling angry. Okay. And then you got to validate it. You got to tell yourself why it makes sense that you're feeling angry and give yourself some credit, give yourself some grace. And, you're basically explaining to yourself, why would a reasonable, rational person feel this way?
mm,
And, it's like, yeah, I am feeling angry because, you know, like yesterday I was feeling angry and it makes sense because I was driving all day. I
mm,
wasn't driving all day, but I was driving for a big chunk of the day. And my day really wasn't my own. I was kind of at the mercy of screaming kids in the car or whatever, coming home and unpacking and had all these things going on. It makes sense that I would feel frustrated because, the world was expecting, my day was expecting a lot of me. And I felt like I didn't have any choice in the matter. I felt a lot of victim. I felt some frustration there. And it totally makes sense why I would feel that way.
mm,
And
mm,
then once I validate it, then step 3 comes in is, okay, what am I going to do about it? Right.
mm,
But you have to validate your emotion. Right. So step 1, name it. Step 2, validate it. And then step 3 is do something about it.
mm,
And that could be a whole lot of different things. I mean, doing something could be, reading a book, vegging out on your couch, watching a TV show. It could be building Legos by yourself, could be running around the woods screaming. I mean, there are so many different ways to process it, right?
yeah,
You just got to figure out what works for you. So, um, yeah, that's been key for me is just being able to walk through those emotions, right? Name it and then validate it. Really give yourself like make it. Why does it make sense for you to feel this way? Why would somebody else in your situation feel the way you feel? And give yourself a little bit of credit, give yourself some grace, and then you can change it. Then you can do something about it if you want to.
mm,
But that is pivotal And one thing I feel like I need to address real quick is that being a dad is hard. And again, it is being a mom is also very hard, and it's for very different reasons.
Hmm.
A lot of men fall into this feeling of comparison of, well, my wife has it way worse than I don't have room to complain. I don't have room to feel these things. And
Hmm.
it becomes very isolating, and it can become very dangerous, right? Where thoughts of suicide start coming into the picture. And I know some people that have gone through that. I've gone through that, where you're just like, I don't know if this is worth living anymore, right? And the answer, first off, is yes, it is worth it. And there are people out there to help, and you can get through it. Um, and it's okay that it's hard for you. It's also hard for your wife. You don't have to compare.
Hmm.
Um, give yourself room to feel the pain of being a parent and going through the struggles. And yeah, it's different for your wife and it's different for you.
Hmm.
Both are okay. It's okay for both of you to feel what you're feeling, and don't dismiss your feelings just because it's got to be way harder for my wife.
Mm. Wow, man, that speaks. Any all my listeners out there, please take heed, man. Wow, that's some powerful stuff there, man. Man, listen, I have one more question for you.
Yeah,
Um, this has been good. This has been awesome, man. If you've helped me out a lot here, but
good.
this last question, man. If you could sit down the way that you and I are talking right now, and if I was the 18-year-old version of Jake,
Hmm.
and you had the chance to give the 18-year-old version of Jake one piece of advice, knowing everything you know now, what would you tell that young man?
I would tell him that he is enough,
Mm,
that he is good enough, talented enough, loved enough to do what God wants him to do on this earth. And he doesn't have to prove that to anybody. Um, and to just trust God.
mm,
There have been times in my life where I have trusted God and made irrational decisions, like having 5 kids in 5 years. That's irrational. I would not recommend it.
yeah.
And is what God felt like. Oh, it's what we felt like God wanted us to do. And if I could have a little bit more trust, it's easy to say. I don't know that my 18-year-old self would have believed it, but if I could somehow instill that belief in him, it would have saved a lot of struggle, a lot of suffering. When I just say, you know what, don't stress about this. Don't lose sleep over it. You feel like it's what God wants you to do, just do it.
Mm,
And know that you're enough. You're enough to do whatever He's got for you.
mm. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. We are enough, man. We are enough.
Absolutely.
Man. We are enough. That's a message on its own, right there. Seriously. But man, listen, Jake, man, it has been an honor, bro. Just being able, you know, I, it's so this is good for me. Like I say it all the time, and I truly mean it. Dad, can we talk? Is for me more than anyone else, man. I really need this. Like I just go through a lot, and I feel like at times I'm always like the strong friend. I'm always the person that people go to, and um, at times I need encouragement, and at times
Absolutely. We all
it's
do.
hard
Yeah.
to ask for it, to ask for help at times for me. And so this is always like my time to be able to soak in. And man, you've helped me a lot. You've helped me a lot with a lot of the things that you said, man, things that I'm gonna try to put into action today, when I pick my kids up and when my wife comes home today, and just, have a little grace for myself, and keep moving forward, man, because it's difficult at times. And I'm just always thankful when I can be able to be and get some encouragement from someone else, man. So I just want to say thank you, bro.
Yeah, no, thank you. This has been awesome. I love what you're doing. We need we need more advocates for dads out there. We've got a great work ahead of us, a lot of responsibility and a lot of fun as well as a father. So yeah, keep encouraging that.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. So, man, definitely appreciate that. For all of my listeners out there, man, you know, you guys know where you can find every episode. You can easily go to www.dadcanwetalk.com. You can find the YouTube page there. You can find all of the episodes streaming right there on the website. Um, the social media links are there on the website where you can follow me and everything I have going on. You can reach out to me there. You can contact me there on the website, and just continue to stay tuned, man. You know, it's been 2.5 years and running for the podcast, and I'm just trying to continue to stay encouraged and keep going, man, because this is everything for me, and it's been a lot of help for a lot of guys in the community. So we're just continuing to stay pushing, man. So for all of those out, all my very supportive listeners out there, the few that I do have out there, man, I really, 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 really appreciate you for reaching out to me, and everyone that continues to keep me going, man. So I'm appreciative, definitely super appreciative. But hey, that's it for this episode of Dad Can We Talk, man. Y'all continue to stay tuned. And if y'all can't actually, before I go, man, tell the people where they can find your podcast.
Yeah, yeah. So the podcast is Tenaciously Human. Full title: Tenaciously Human Leaders, Faith, Family, Business. But yeah, you can find me on all the streaming platforms out there. On just about every one that I can think of. So you can find the podcast out there, or you can go to tenaciouslyhuman.com and learn more about me, the podcast, all those sort of things. So
Sounds good. So, man, hey, you guys listen to this, man, please go and support my man. You know, we're all in this thing together, and we all
yeah,
need
we are.
support. So go and support my man's. Go and find him on social media, follow him, like his stuff, and go and visit the website if that's something that you want to do, man. So, hey, Jake, man, I appreciate you for coming on, man.
Yeah, thanks so much.
All right, it's Dad. Can we talk? We're out of here.